Hey everybody, this is the Slightest Review. I'm here today to talk to you about the American adaptation of Filthy Rich. Now, Filthy Rich was a New Zealand show, a drama, a really good one, like a soap opera type stuff. And the American one is complete crap. And I feel bad saying that because this is the first American adaptation from a foreign property I've ever seen that I absolutely hated. Normally, I'm one of those type of people who defends American adaptations. I love the American Sailor Moon, Digimon, Power Rangers, Mistresses, like you name it. You know what I'm saying? But this show, oh no. With this show, it's similar to the New Zealand one, but it's more of a dramedy. Like it feels like it's a hokey. It feels like a hokey parody of just another drama. And then one thing that's different about this one is highly motivated in religion, which the original one never was. There were religious characters, like two of them in there, but that's about it. This whole show revolves around religion. Everybody is pulling off a fake, terrible country bumpkin type accent, and it is terrible. Nobody sounds real in this. Kim Cattrall, who I like, even her acting's not all that great in this. It's just like, because she's trying to pull off this fake accent and it's just not working. And you'd think she would be great for this because she plays Samantha on Sex and the City. And her character is very similar to that, could be very similar to the Brady character from the New Zealand one. Like, it's a drama with these weird quirks and comedic areas. And it's like and it's just like the music is terrible. It's just country music. It's hokey country music. The New Zealand show wasn't like that. The New Zealand show, it was about rich people betraying one another and backstabbing them, and the music complemented that. This is similar to the New Zealand one, but for some reason they added hokey country music for some bizarre reason. I don't understand why they did that. And when you watch this, you can tell which character is based off the New Zealand characters, but they're switched around a little bit. I can give them that. I give them credit for that. You know what I'm saying? Make it slightly different from the original, but keep it the same for Christ's sake. It's like it's trying to be Desperate Housewives meets Mistresses meets Good Country Bellas, I think it was called, and it mostly feels like Good Country Bellas. But it is worse than that. Now, Good Country Bellas was an okay show. I kind of liked it. It wasn't great, but it was pretty fun. This one's just weird, especially since I know the source material. Even if I didn't know the source material, I still would not like it. Now I see why. This show got canceled after one season. It was supposed to come out in May of 2019, but it came out in the spring of 2020. And this was before COVID. And because Fox knew they had a stinker on their hands. This New Zealand one, cap it off really fast, because I do have a New Zealand review for it, but it's going to take me a while to edit it. So I think I can push this one out first. So anyway, it's basically just like this. It's about this man who is a millionaire who cheats on his wives, and then he ends up having 3 kids from other 3 people. Two of the kids are white, and the other one is mixed with something. I don't know what. It's hard. When it comes to New Zealand races, I am confused. I am not very good at figuring those out because I don't live over there. Anyway, so his wife, who owns the company, or he ends up dying, and his wife ends up taking over the company, and she doesn't want nothing to do with the 3 kids, but she takes 2 of them in. One of them is trying to find out what happened to his real mother because he was abandoned and adopted. The girl was like a stripper, and then she turned her life around. And then the guy, it turns out that the other son, he got in a car crash, he got in a coma, his best friend pretended to be him. And it's just this is all this salacious, backstabbing, drama, rich people type stuff. And it was very entertaining. And then on top of that, they had to deal with his real son, trying to take over the family company and using everybody. And it's just a lot of it's high octane fun, you know what I'm saying? But this, oh no. Now, one thing they changed with this one is that they kept the dad alive. However, the dad, he is in a plane crash. And you assume he died and everything. And then at the very end of the episode, it's revealed that the plane survived and he's in Louisiana. And he's there, and a woman found him. Don't know who that lady is because I'm not watching no episode other than the first one. I can't watch this series. I didn't even want to watch the first episode. I can't watch this. It's just that bad. You know what I'm saying? It's just that bad. I can't even get through the first season. I have watched some bad shows, and I've been able to get through the first season just to see what happens. I can't do that with this series. I just can't. Now, I do appreciate they changed some things around because they kept the dad alive. But one of the things that was more interesting that he was dead in the New Zealand one, right? So it's kind of like that would cause all this craziness to happen, and he couldn't explain nothing. Now he is alive, but he still can't explain nothing because he's in another part of the country. And, now in the first episode of the New Zealand one, we don't know, when we first see the father, we don't know that he cheats and we don't know he has other kids. We find that out after he dies. And we actually see this dude die, like hit the car, smack dab, dies, you know what I'm saying? And it's only, like I said, after we find out he died, we find out that he had other kids and cheated. In the American one, we know straight off the bat he is a cheater because when he is on the plane, he is there with two young model looking women. Now, the mom of this show, her name is Margaret. She is a combination of two different mothers from the New Zealand one. She is a combination of Brady, who is the CEO of her dead husband's company, and she is a combination of John Jr.'s mom. Except for John Jr.'s mom's racist, but this one is not. So, the thing about Brady in the New Zealand one, she is ruthless, she is conniving, but she also has a heart of gold, but she is fierce and she is tough and she is strong. John Jr.'s mom is just plain out evil and just wants revenge, and she's a racist. Now, Margaret on this show is a very sweet, kind-hearted woman. She's super religious. She's a little hokey. And she has two kids by her husband and stuff. And it's just like, the thing about her in this is that, okay, John Jr.'s mom in the New Zealand one does not approve of him and his behavior and thinks he's not good enough to run the company. In this version, Margaret doesn't think her son has what it takes to run the family business as well. And so she is like, she tried to take the company from him, which causes problems between him and her. Also, she's super, super, super sweet, like I said, and she had no idea her husband even cheated. So she's really upset. She's all about the family business and keeping that religious mentality, and she doesn't want nobody to think nothing worse of her family. And so, but she is conniving also. She does not want the three kids that her husband fathered to be, run this company. So she's trying to buy them out. Same thing happens in the New Zealand one. But the thing about her connivingness in this one is that it's so subtle you don't really notice it until it happens. In the New Zealand one, she's very sly and sneaky, and then it's like, oh crap, look what she just did, you know what I'm saying? And you don't get that same feeling in this one, the American one. And it's really bad. Like when she finds out that the one girl is going to expose the family, she decides she's going to turn the tables around and expose them first. Ugh. Then there's Ginger. Ginger is the Savannah of the show. Savannah was a stripper who has an alcoholic, druggy mom, and they kind of live in this poor little apartment. And then when Savannah knew who John Sr. was, and she tried to be with him, her mom tried to shake him down for money. But then once he dies, she decides she's going to better her life. She decides she is going to run the family business and stuff. And she's going to learn to do everything she can, even though she doesn't know what she's doing. And she's probably the best character of the entire show. But then, her alcoholic drug mom messes a lot of stuff up for her. And so it's her stepdad, and then she ends up killing the stepdad, and then the mom tries to blackmail the Brady lady, and then Savannah finds out, but then she's going to turn herself in, but then the mom decides she doesn't want her daughter to go to jail, so she kills herself and confesses that she's the one who did it, and then it sends Savannah into a spiral downfall of drugs, alcohol, and sex, and then she turns her life back around, only to get thrown off a building because it turns out that she made a deal with this one bad person in the business, and then he tried to kill her to shut her up. Now with Savannah, we found all this out throughout the course of 20 episodes, so it has time to breathe. It has breathing room, you know what I'm saying? And so when you see every reveal and every like mood swing with her and everything, you're able to like follow along, and it feels genuine. With this new version, her version is named Ginger. And Ginger is just vengeful. Ginger knew all about the other kids, and she knew all about her father and all this other stuff. And in this version, she's a webcam girl, and she's just hokey. Like when she shows up to this banquet dinner type thing, she's wearing a very hokey, old-fashioned country type dress. She's from like Louisiana. Interesting, she's from Louisiana and stuff. And so I know they're all from Louisiana. Anyway, they're like southern country people. But yeah, it's just she has a fake thick accent. Her acting's not very good in my opinion. No offense to the actress. And she just straight up wants vengeance from like the very start. Like she wants more money and all this other stuff. But Savannah, you don't find all this stuff out until halfway into the series. So it's kind of disappointing. It's like we're finding all this stuff out about this one girl, like boom, 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 and we don't have no breathing room. And then she plans on telling the entire press that, you know, what her dad did and all this other stuff, but then her new stepmom beats her to the punch. But then she beats her stepmom to the punch by introducing her mom, and her mom is kind of like your typical country bumpkin, don't you talk to my daughter this way kind of person. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, she has some stuff going on with it. Then you have Antonio. He is the Joe of the series. Now, the problem I'm having with this character is that in my New Zealand review, I said he was Italian. My bad. I got the name Antonio because Antonio sounds more Italian than anything else. But this dude is of Spanish descent. Nothing against this dude, but when you look at him at first glance, he doesn't look Spanish. He looks white. That is the main problem I'm having with this character, because the thing about Joe is that the New Zealand show is very diverse, and Joe was very diverse. He has a lot of stuff mixed in him and stuff. He's a man with brown skin color. When you look at Antonio, you don't see that. All you see is like this white looking dude. And so it kind of robs that feel of, you know, this person of color being abandoned and adopted and thrown in the trash bin and stuff when it comes to the Joe character. You just don't get that when you see the Antonio one. Now, the thing with Antonio, Joe was a boxing coach. Antonio is an MMA fighter. He's also a single dad. We see him bring his little son, who's probably about 1 or 2. And the thing about Joe in the series is that Joe, he had no kids, but then he ended up getting a girl pregnant. But then she ended up leaving and was going to have an abortion. And then he ended up getting another girl pregnant in the next season, only to have a miscarriage and stuff. And he's the type of person who wants to be a father and, you know, and all that other stuff. But in this version, this dude just straight up is a dad already. And he's like, you know, struggling single dad. And he needs the money. Also with this character is that he's like a tough guy, softy and everything. It's like he's completely soft throughout the entire first episode, and he even rats out Ginger when she was gonna tell the press. And it's just like, but then when somebody says something he don't like, he be like, oh, I'm gonna beat you up. You know what I'm saying? Like a tough guy. Joe wasn't like that. Joe was a humble man with a humble upbringing. Then he found out some bad stuff had happened to him, like being thrown in a trash can at birth, and adoptive, and his adoptive parent lied to him, so it makes him like upset and angry, and then he turns to like a life of like drinking and partying and sex that kind of made him spiral out. But then he turns into like a villain when he starts like kicking people out the family business and stuff. but he wasn't like this tough guy softy. He was just like a noble man who wanted to do the right thing at first, but then got corrupted. And we see that, like I said, through the span of the entire series in the New Zealand one, but you don't see that in this first episode. And it's just like, it just doesn't like work for me. And then we get the character of Jason / Mark. Now, Jason is supposed to be the other son of the dad and stuff, but he is pretending to be Jason. So Mark is pretending to be Jason. This dude is like, he sells marijuana, he lives in a trailer, and stuff like that. Now he is the Garth / Zach person of the New Zealand show. Zach was probably one of the nicest characters on that show. Him and his friend Garth, who was the legitimate son, they had a great time growing up. They were always there for each other. An accident did happen, like a car accident, put him in a coma, and so Zach pretended to be Garth, but he didn't try to at first. They just mistaken him for it. He just ran with it, and then when he got to that lifestyle of money, he was like, nah, I kind of like this house, and stuff like that. So he stayed there, but he wasn't corrupt in no way. He just lied about who he was. He ended up falling in love with Savannah, but for the most part, he was a nice guy who was always there for like sticking by like Savannah's side and everything. It was like her best friend the entire series, and he was just a nice all-around dude. And then when the real Garth needed to go transfer to another hospital they couldn't afford, he takes all of Garth's money and he gives it to Garth's mom, but he doesn't tell her what's going on. He didn't spend it, and he doesn't want nothing to do with the family business. He's just there. And in this version, straight up, the Mark character, he's like a very shady person. We see him go to the hospital and he injects something into Jason's mouth. I'm assuming it's like poison or something like that. And when he gets there, you can tell straight off the bat when he's in that house, he's a shady Weasley kind of character. And then he ends up kissing his supposed like stepsister, who freaks her out. Like, he just kisses her on the first episode and she's freaked out and she goes away. And then he trying to play off in a hokey way like, I'm sorry. But then it's kind of like, this happens all in the first episode. And then the New Zealand series, it was a progression, Is it like he saw her, was attracted to her, and then and as time passed on, he started to fall in love with her and stuff. And those two didn't really start to like click until like the next season. And in this, it just happens like all fast. Now, the only real person of character, color, I should say, in this series is Franklin Lee. He's the lawyer and advisor to the Margaret lady. And it's kind of like, well, it's like, I wish the Antonio character could have been like, when you see him on screen, like, is a man of like color, you know what I'm saying? But no offense to like the actor who plays Antonio, but he just straight up look white when you see him and stuff. And so, and then the Franklin character, he's hokey, and I'm assuming he's supposed to be the Fisher of the show. Now, Fisher in the New Zealand one, he was just a regular character throughout the entire season until towards the end. We find out he's the one who killed like the father of that show, and then he ends up becoming the new CEO and stuff. And then he throws Savannah off a building when she finds out too much. This dude, I don't know what this dude's going to do in the series because I'm not watching the rest of this season. And it's just, he's just there and he's just hokey and stuff. Now, just like with the New Zealand stuff, random stuff just like happens for convenient plot armor. Like, Franklin gives Ginger a letter about her father. He said that your father wrote this and he cared about you and he always like respected you and stuff. And he knew who you were because he kept an eye on you and stuff. Well, when she reads the letter, somehow she's able to determine that a right-handed person wrote that letter. She says that she's left-handed, therefore she got that from her father. Her father must be left-handed. So she assumes that Margaret wrote it. And then Margaret confesses, yes, she wrote it. And it's just like, how the heck did she figure that out so fast? Then we get Rose. Rose is the Candy of this show. And Rose is like a fashion designer, and she tries to distance herself from her mom. But here's the interesting thing. This is the one who Mark kisses, like straight up, you know what I'm saying? And she's freaked out by that. But then he later confesses to her that, his real name is Mark. This does not happen in the New Zealand one. Now, in the New Zealand one, the Kennedy character, she's attracted to Zach slash Garth, but he keeps rejecting her. Then she ends up dating older men, and then she ends up dating her best friend named Grace. And in that series, she hates Savannah to death because she thinks that her mom Brady likes Savannah more than she likes her. And it's Savannah and Zach who end up like liking each other, and he tells her his secret and stuff. And but in this one, the Savannah character of Ginger, Rose likes her and respects her. But here's the interesting thing. She tells Ginger that, tell me more about your real mom. And Ginger doesn't want to do that. She's just like, just keep telling me how awesome I am. Apparently there's something going on with Ginger and her mom. What that is, we don't know. In the New Zealand one, we don't find that out until halfway into the series, early half on in the series, that there's a problem between those two. And this show doesn't give no breathing room for that. Now, the character of Eric, he is just this nice, hokey, religious dude. They're all hokey, man. Like, I swear to God, they like parodies of real people. And so, he is married to a woman named Becky, and Becky is pregnant. And so Eric, his mom doesn't want him to be nowhere near the family business because she doesn't think he's ready for it. So he gets upset and he's going to tell the press. Now, he is based off the John Jr. character. John Jr. is nothing like this dude. John Jr. is bi. John Jr. Actually, Eric looks like he's bi too. I probably figured that out if I watched the series, but I'm not watching it. But yeah, John Jr. is bi. He does drugs. He is constantly manipulating everybody in the series and trying to set them up because he is trying to get what he wants. He wants the family business. Him and his mom does not get along. He starts a relationship with his brother's ex-girlfriend. And it's just like the John Jr. character is the character you're supposed to hate from the start. And this dude, you don't. Then Becky, she's based off Ariana. She's just the pregnant wife of Eric, and she's the sister of Reverend Thompson. And it's just like the thing with the Ariana character, she's this super sweet religious girl who gets cheated on by Joe, broken up with him, and then she starts a relationship with John Jr. And then she has it out with Joe's new fiance and stuff. And it's just like... But then she turns to her eventual ex-girlfriend. And it's just like, it's layered. It progresses throughout the entire season. And And then there's Becky's brother, Paul Thompson. And, Thomas. And it's just like, I'm not really sure who he's based off of. I think he's based off both of Fisher and John Jr. Because when I watched it, him and Margaret constantly getting at it and stuff about how the business should be ran and all this other stuff and the secret and all this other crap. And it's like, and he's trying to corrupt her family and stuff. So that's something that John Jr. does, and trying to take it from her is something Fisher did. Now, one thing I have noticed is that every episode is named after a Bible verse, because this shows very heavily in the religious family. But it's like, it was never a good series. It was average at the most. But it's just like, nobody in here is really giving a good performance. Everybody's acting is so bad and so cartoonish that you feel like you're watching a cartoon or something like that. Everybody is stereotypical in this series, whereas in the New Zealand one, you didn't get that feeling at all until you actually started getting into their character. You're like, oh, okay, this character is that way and this character is that way. And it's just like, with this one, it's just straight up, exactly what you're gonna get. But one thing that's interesting about this, when the series starts, it starts with the Margaret mom lady burning her mansion down in a very desperate housewives, waiting to exhale kind of way, you know what I'm saying? This show is trying to be Desperate Housewives so badly. And we don't know why she's burning it down. And then it goes to 4 months later when the series starts that I've been telling you about. And it's just like, in those 4 months, something like, went down and stuff. And it's just like, they should have just kept to the premise of the original series. It would have been fine. It would have been something interesting for Americans to see. Because a lot of Americans haven't really seen this. But this show is dreadful, like awful and stuff. And it's just like, what the world were they thinking? No wonder it got canceled after a few episodes actually, and they had to finish off the season. It was only 10 episodes, and it's just terrible. Alrighty, well, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.